If you've been considering using minoxidil for hair regrowth, the form you choose could be the difference between results and regret. Oral and topical minoxidil are not the same, and many people end up using the wrong version for their situation without realizing it. Hey everyone, I'm Andrew, co-founder of Anagen and HairDAO. After working with thousands of patients using oral and topical minoxidil in real-world use cases, I've seen exactly who gets results and who doesn't. Today I'm going to show you how to figure out which form of minoxidil is going to be right for you and why the answer is not what most people think. Minoxidil is one of the most versatile tools we have for treating hair loss, and that largely comes down to its mechanism of action. At its core, minoxidil is a potassium channel opener. It opens ATP-sensitive potassium channels in the cells surrounding hair follicles, which cause downstream upregulation of Wnt and beta-catenin, which is a key pathway in terms of prolonging the anagen growth phase of hair follicles. So for topical minoxidil to work, your scalp actually needs to have meaningful amounts of the enzyme sulfotransferase SALT1A1 for the minoxidil in your scalp to actually be converted into minoxidil sulfate. The research would suggest that large portions of people have relatively low follicular sulfotransferase activity, which would explain why there are meaningful portions of people who are non-responders to topical minoxidil. Importantly, of course, a response is on a spectrum, and so even people with lower sort of enzyme activity levels can still have varying degrees of responses to topical minoxidil. So ultimately, when people are seeing underwhelming results from their topical minoxidil, you'll typically see a move to increase the concentration from 2% to 5%, sometimes all the way up to 10%. What we've seen in clinical studies is that there is no real difference between sort of a 5% taken twice daily versus a 10%. One of the potential reasons for the underperformance of minoxidil at higher concentrations can be that it reaches solubility limits with sort of standard delivery vehicles at around 5 to 7%, meaning that a lot of the minoxidil at higher dosages can actually crystallize in the formulation and sort of sit on top of the skin, never actually get through the layer of skin to the hair follicles themselves. Ultimately, this can mean essentially more irritation with no incremental gains or increases in regrowth. Another thing to touch on is that if you do take aspirin daily, this could be impacting the results that you're seeing with topical minoxidil. There is research to suggest that taking aspirin daily can inhibit that SALT1A1 enzyme, which would ultimately convert the minoxidil into minoxidil sulfate. A study by Gorin et al. Actually found that when subjects were taking aspirin daily, the amount of non-responders pretty much increased drastically. So if you're on daily aspirin and you find that your minoxidil is not working well for you, that could be something that is worth talking to your dermatologist about. With oral minoxidil, that conversion from minoxidil to minoxidil sulfate does not depend on the enzymes in your scalp, but rather the enzymes in your liver, which are much more plentiful, and that can be one of the reasons why the non-responder rate for oral minoxidils is much lower than the non-responder rate for topical minoxidil. With the oral minoxidil, the sort of minoxidil sulfate will get delivered systemically in the bloodstream to the scalp, and that is ultimately how the hair growth occurs with the oral version. That's why oral minoxidil can produce results in people that had no luck with the topical minoxidil, because the conversion from minoxidil to minoxidil sulfate is happening via a different mechanism or in a different part of the body. The liver has much more of the enzymes needed to convert minoxidil to minoxidil sulfate. Okay, so now on to the side effects of each, and this is where they have some divergence. Starting with oral minoxidil, probably the most common side effect is hypertrichosis, or unwanted hair regrowth around the body. You know, think if you're a female, you could have some facial hair growth, excess body hair growth. For somebody like me, a guy, you know, I wouldn't mind having a little bit more of a beard, so it's all good for me, but that's something to keep in mind for sure. Blood pressure and heart rate changes. So with a typical dosage for hair growth, you would probably see anywhere from 0.5 to 5 milligrams, which theoretically could lower blood pressure. In practice, blood pressure changes are relatively minimal when they've looked at it in clinical trials, while heart rate has been known to increase. So if you do have a history of cardiovascular issues, oral minoxidil is probably not going to be right for you. Finally, kind of a unique one for oral minoxidil versus topical would be peripheral edema. So this would be swelling of the feet and ankles, and even face sometimes actually. But to be clear, this is only in a small subsection of patients, and it's pretty much known to be dose dependent. So if you're having issues with this, you could probably lower your dosage a little bit. Finally, some sort of just tips to deal with potential side effects from oral minoxidil. You could titrate your dosages, so start low and gradually build your way up. You could make sure to always take the minoxidil with food to sort of blunt the absorption. And then sometimes people have reported that taking oral minoxidil at nighttime can reduce some of the associated side effects. In terms of topical minoxidil's side effects, they are normally sort of more localized. So you're thinking irritation, redness, dryness, flaking at the site of application. Importantly, you can sort of expect the minoxidil effects to be localized. So if you're rubbing it only on your head, you're likely only going to have increased regrowth on your head, which is a major positive. And funny enough, a lot of the irritating side effects that people will typically report with topical minoxidil are actually due to the propylene glycol, which is used in part of the whole formulation. It's not actually related to the minoxidil itself. I will mention that in all of our Anagen physician prescribed products, we do not use propylene glycol. So you will not deal with that irritation, at least if you've suffered in sort of other products. But then if the irritation persists, you might actually just be, having a reaction to the minoxidil itself, in which case you're probably gonna wanna look for other topical treatments, whether it's, a finasteride, a dutasteride, a T3. There's a broad portfolio available to you if minoxidil topically does not work. So if you've been losing hair for a while, trying things that haven't worked, but you are serious about getting your hair growth back, check the link in the description. I've put together exact products for an optimized sort of maximum hair regrowth protocol, which I think you'll enjoy. Finally, another thing I wanted to touch on was that yes, minoxidil efficacy can be improved. Both oral and topical minoxidil would benefit from microneedling. Probably there's been more studies focused on topical minoxidil plus microneedling. There's an argument to be made that microneedling and then applying minoxidil will increase absorption just by essentially creating channels in your skin, openings in your skin for the minoxidil to penetrate and be absorbed. But then also the microneedling itself via micro injuries recruits a lot of pro-growth proteins and signaling pathways to the area. So think PDGF, VEGF, and various Wnt beta-catenin signaling as well. As I've talked about in my other videos, microneedling plus minoxidil, it is one of these things where the sum of the parts can actually be greater than any individual treatment alone. So the results on that combination have been really impressive, and I would advise that you look into them, although we don't sell any microneedling devices. Okay, so what to expect in terms of timeline with both of these oral and topical minoxidils? The timelines are going to be relatively similar because, again, the hair just grows at a certain cycle. So from 0 to 3 months, you should expect some degree of shedding with both of these treatments, probably a little bit more shedding on the oral minoxidil. This can be a scary phase to break through because it's not necessarily clear that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, even though there is one. Then from sort of months 4 through 6, you can expect to see reduced shedding and probably start to see the beginnings of regrowth, maybe some baby hairs, sort of if you look closely enough. And then finally at 12 months, I would probably say that is the ideal time to sort of evaluate the efficacy of your protocol. That will probably be about the maximum extent of the regrowth you're going to experience. And then from that point on, any further use of the minoxidil will probably be more for maintenance purposes. As I touch on all the time, consistency is key. This is why I've said, one of the key deciding factors in oral or topical minoxidil, which one are you gonna be able to stick with? Would you prefer to take a pill every day, or would you prefer to sort of rub a solution into your scalp every day? The choice is yours. I'm typically more of a topical user myself, but everybody has different preferences. So the bottom line, there is no universal best option, but there is likely a best option for you. Key factors include what you'll actually stick with, which causes the least lifestyle disruption, whether you lean more heavily towards maximum regrowth or limiting of side effects. And most importantly, of course, speak with your physician before trying either oral or topical minoxidil. Okay, so everything I've just told you guys is grounded in real science. We are constantly trying to figure out here in the lab which hair loss treatments are the best on the market, but not just which ones work best. We're trying to understand the mechanisms at play behind why they work best so we can continually develop new great treatments for you guys until we can ultimately get to that end goal of turning a slick bald scalp fully hairy.